passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in, touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again.
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
Swinging it line to deep right.
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
Hello and welcome. Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jarid Watson.
Cleveland Browns.
And we are going to roll right into this with, I'm still just as fired up now as I was Sunday afternoon, Andy. And let me tell you how strange it is to watch a Cleveland Browns game where I'm not stressed. I'm not sweating it. I'm not wondering how they're going to blow it. I'm not hoping that they pull something, out of their asses down at the end of the game to pull out a win. This was solid on all three sides of the ball.
Yep.
Defense, offense, special teams, which I don't even know how that happened. But
just rolled.
I guess on special teams, it was don't do anything dumb is the only thing that you really had to hope for. I wasn't looking for anything spectacular, but they did it. And they did it on the back of the young guys, especially Baker Mayfield. And man, kind of a coming out party. We knew he was good. We didn't know that he was that quick. But Nick Chubb is he legit now? Can we say he's legit?
Oh, yeah. I thought he was legit before. For people who might misread what I was saying before, Carlos Hyde, the reason why I didn't like that trade is because it takes away a vet and it takes away your depth in running back. I still don't like that trade. I still wish we had Carlos Hyde in the backfield, but that's neither here nor there today. Nick Chubb, I loved out of college. I loved before his knee injury. I loved him after his knee injury. He had a solid year for Georgia last year before going into the draft.
Was it you that brought up that thing, Georgia running backs are just...
Yeah. They're really, really good. They're outstanding. The kid out in L.A. too is really doing well for him as well. They've had a history. Going all the way back to Herschel Walker. And the kid Holyfield this year for Georgia is also playing really well. But anyways, this was a complete win. I don't want to say we forecasted it here, but we pretty much saw this coming.
Yeah.
This was the perfect storm.
Confidently, too.
Yeah, this was a perfect storm. I really saw this coming from because of how the Falcons played right into what the Browns do well. And what I mean by that is like flipping on the other side of the ball. The Falcons can run the ball, but they do not like relying on the run to make this team go. They're really a pass team first. That plays right into the Browns' hands because what the Browns can do is now go one-dimensional, and the Browns' strength is clearly pass defense. So, Jared, when you got something like that automatically made me feel good because now you can really rely on your strength as a team. That also plays right into Greg Williams' defense because he wants to give up the run. So that played right into it. And then on the other side of the ball, and the star of the game was Mayfield, and then Chubb was 1B. But Mayfield was perfect. 17 out of 20 for 216, 3 touchdowns. This was Mayfield's coming out party. The announcement was the Jets game. This was the coming out party, though. He was outstanding. He really had a great day. Really,
isn't it amazing what a balanced offense will give you?
Yes.
Oh my! And you know what stood out to me, Andy, is they only had 50 plays on offense for the entire game. 50.
But look at two. We talked about
efficient.
But look on this game too. We mentioned this on another podcast. Not a lot of 3-and-outs. Even when the Browns punted, they got a couple first downs.
Yeah.
They extended drives. And then, again, in football, you learn. You don't always have to score. People get way too caught up in that. A successful drive sometimes is just having an 8-play drive. And pushing the ball out and extending and getting the clock to wind down.
Winding down the clock, giving your defense rest, and winning the field and winning the field position.
Yeah, they did all that in this game. And to another point that I brought up on the last podcast, I loved – again, I don't think you should go to – outside of Landry's, I think Landry can go 8 or 9 times and he can still win games. But really outside of him, they don't really have go-to guys like a Julio Jones on any level. We obviously know that. So I loved how they dispersed the ball. Mayfield clearly had – Mayfield, I don't want to take it – this Nick Chubb is the other guy, but Mayfield really saw the field well. He looked confident.
Oh, yeah.
Greg Robinson did a wonderful job left tackle. Really protected
Not one
the ball.
sack, Andy.
Yes.
That offensive line looked really different. And you know what else I think helped? They weren't afraid to have Duke and Nick in the backfield at the same freaking time. Wow.
Exactly. Again, like a good mix of plays, extending drives. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And then, so Mayfield comes out, looks like he's been a seasoned pro. There's nothing you can say negative. So then you go to Nick Chubb and that 92-yard run, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, longest touchdown in Browns history. That's 92 yards. Longest, for people who don't know, I'm sure you do by now, but if you don't, that's the longest run ever for a touchdown for a Browns player. That's unbelievable.
Think of all the names in that backfield.
Everybody.
The history.
I mean, from Otto Graham to Jim Brown to Mack and Biner.
Yeah.
And
even Eric Metcalf and his speedy legs.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys, and for that to be just says a lot. You know, I want to stick on the offense. I just thought this is what happens when you get a chance to take a breath. The other thing, too, that really helped the Browns, and you don't want to see it first half, they've been kind of building, and we know this team's better, but they played really tough teams. We mentioned on the last podcast, too.
Yeah, they ran the gauntlet.
The Buccaneers aside, Chargers, Steelers, and the Chiefs are very good teams. And that helped in this game because, again, the Falcons, I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they're not on that echelon. And they're just not. And you can see it during the game. So it really rolled into this perfect storm offense. And I'll tell you, the other thing you kind of alluded to that I want to hit on, I was really proud of the offensive line. That's the first time all year, Jared, they held their own. I never thought this year they had a winning year when it came to the line. I thought the defensive line, even the Jets and Ravens game, really outplayed the Browns offensive line. But in this game, the Browns offensive line clearly outclassed the Falcons defensive line. First time all year they won that battle. That was great to see. Great to see in that game.
And Baker didn't really. It's not that he even needed a lot of time. He just needed enough time. He got the ball out quick. He knew the routes that he knew where he was going as soon as he dropped back. And those guys, I think having Higgins back opened up the field a little bit more for them as well. And he obviously made his impact, got the first touchdown of the game. That's the first time this year, Andy, that the Browns score in the first quarter, score a touchdown. Just from that moment, you knew that they're on to something. That drive and that pass to Higgins where, it was just, I don't know, Andy. No one dropped the ball either.
No drop pass sufficient in the game. But again, like they got everybody into the motion of the game. Too many times in Browns games, we relied on Duke Johnson for 9 passes, or Landry during a Buccaneers game where he had 9 passes.
Yeah.
Everybody played a role. Everybody made a play. And that's actually what the Browns need to do because they don't have a Julio Jones when it comes to passing attack. So that's what you need to do. You need to disperse the ball, and they did that. And guess what? When you do that and you protect and you run, you're going to win by 12 points comfortably. And that's what the Browns did. And they looked great. And then on the flip side of the ball, there were some moments where obviously, Matt Ryan's and Julio Jones, they're going to do something during the game. You can't shut them down forever. But really the play of the game, I think gets lost a little bit today, but I want to bring up the Peppers hit in the third quarter to stop Coleman on the 1-yard line was that play right there. Then the follow-up downs after that, those were the games that cemented it. And that was I love that whole sequence there. Stopping him at the 1, Coleman runs again, can't get in, and that fourth down that I don't know what you call that. That was a terrible play call on 4th and goal. Couldn't score from the 1. That cemented the game. And again, the Browns did a great job. For whatever reason, this was if you're a Falcons fan, I kind of felt for you because I kept saying, if they just ran the ball a little bit more here, I think it would open up. But they didn't. It's just not in their blood, not in their DNA. And the Browns' strength is their pass defense. And Jared, as the game went on, it wore on the Falcons. And what ended up Matt Ryan doing is not going 15 plus, dink and dunk, and that's what Greg Williams wants you to do. It played right into their hands. They did a great job of containing the Falcons. I think it wore them out. The Falcons looked like a team that used a lot of energy and only scored 16 points.
Oh,
Am I right?
well, no, you're right. They had about 20 more plays than the Browns did, and that was the thing. They didn't. Oh goodness, they had long, drawn out drives that ended in nothing, and they almost had 2 goal line stands. Which, granted, I'm glad that it didn't work out that way, because as video replay showed, that initial pass to the end zone, there should have been a touchdown. And I don't. But you know what? That's on Atlanta. You got to throw the red flag if you're going to do it. But even that touchdown killed another minute and a half, because it took them three more plays to get in. You know,
the Browns did a nice job, and so we hit Peppers. Peppers played his best game by far. Yep. The one guy who really stood out that everybody's talking about, he deserves it, Joe Schobert. When Joe Sherbert's not playing, it stands out. And boy, does it stand out even more when he's in the game.
Isn't that huge?
He is the first player since Clay Matthews that I see that makes an impact on the game.
And for a while, a lot of people thought he was only making the impact because there was no one else there to make the impact.
No.
And he clearly is. It's not a fluke. This guy is legit. He's going to be a Pro Bowler on the regular.
Again, he was a Pro Bowler. I mean, Schobert from the Steelers game on has been great. In this game, he cemented that. A lot of people have been on TJ Carey, and he deserves a very big compliment as well. He did a great job of containing Julio Jones. That's what you have to do.
And even when he got hit with a PI that was a little iffy too, I think, right? And I'm not even mad about it. I'm not mad about it at all.
I thought that was I think we're getting a little too thin-skinned. I actually thought that was a PI, if I'm being truthful.
Well, no, it wasn't a complaint about the call. It was basically just saying that I don't even think that he played that incorrectly.
No, and that kind of stuff happens during the game.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, look, again, I think we're getting way too sensitive sometimes, all of us as fans, about what is a pass interference, not pass interference, or holding. And when I saw the replay, I'm like, that looks like a pass interference. Yeah. I mean, I actually thought it was. So, no here nor there. That was another great job on the flip side of the ball too. We just complimented the offense on defense. You could tell Greg Williams and his son knew something going in. Like, hey, the Falcons want to pass the ball, so we are going to actually play to that and try to get them to basically saying, hey, we'll allow you to run the ball, but you're not going to pass the ball deep down the field. And the Falcons played right into their trap, as I knew the Falcons would. It's amazing. The Falcons.
They had to, because we scored. When you're playing from ahead, they had to.
But Jared, they could have ran the ball more, and they didn't. And again, that play, by the way, that's a credit to the Browns.
Yes.
Because they knew, hey, we know this team. They're going to want to pass the ball at least 50 times. So they did the right adjustments. They had the right game plan in. It was a perfect storm. And even when the Falcons tried to go back to the run, to what you alluded to, it was actually too late. By the third quarter, that running game had just salted away. The game was too far in hand. So they had missed their opportunity to use the running game. Coleman really never got going in the game. He wasn't shut down, but he never really got going.
No, I think they finished with what, 70 yards rushing, something like that.
Something like that. Again, they had 4 yards per carry, which is average. That's what I'm saying. They didn't shut it down, but it certainly did not take over the game. And again, that's a credit to the Browns defense. They did a great job. Look, this is what the Browns needed going into the bye week. Yeah. It's a perfect medicine pill. The other things to hit really quickly are penalties. You still had 7, but my gosh, is that way down? And, you kind of hit it, and I want to hit it hard. I want to hammer it home. It is staggering how many times now the ball is not being dropped anymore in 2 games. Even in the Chiefs game, you saw it. It is staggering after 2 games how the Browns are catching the ball.
Well, what I love, too, is Njoku held onto a ball that it didn't look like he should even have held on to. And after holding onto the ball, he dragged another 3 defenders with him for another 3 yards. I've been keeping this in. I really do have confidence in that kid. I know you're not on board yet. I think that this is exactly the type of game that he needs. And if he can continue it without the drops, I think that they're all competing with each other, I think, to not drop the ball. Would you guess that that's got to be a play into it, that they're trying to motivate each other in that sense?
Probably. I think I'm not seeing what you're seeing from David. I am seeing great things. No, I shouldn't say great things. I'm seeing big positive things out of Perryman.
It's surprising. Oh, he's a surprise out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, he's been a nice little pickup. Like, he's playing really well. Yes. Higgins, who would ever think 40? I mean, God, who would think 2 years later we're saying you actually need Higgins on the field? You actually need Higgins on the field. He's making and producing plays.
At this point, he's a good 2 or 3.
You kind of need him on the field. So those are things I'm saying. I'm not ready to jump on the David bandwagon yet, but
I'm on it. I'm driving it.
I'll save me a spot. I'm not there yet, but maybe I'll be there someday. But again, I don't want to poo-poo it, because I loved how the Browns played this game. This is what they really needed, and I want to give kudos to where everybody's giving kudos to, and that's Greg Williams, to Freddie Kitchens, to everybody. We mentioned it on Friday. What a whirlwind of stuff has been going on for this team. And we all knew hope was going to happen, but I'm kind of glad you and I kind of saw the forest through the trees on Friday, because this is what I felt in my heart of hearts. I'm like, I think this team's better than what we think. And it proved on Sunday. You can see this. I think this is a good thing. I don't want to hear any of this crap about how the draft pick gets ruined. I don't want to hear that stuff. Browns can start winning games. And I love what I saw on Sunday. And I want to see a couple more to 3 more victories here.
Right. I mean, I'm nervous. I'm nervous, Andy. I mean, we've seen this before where you come off a win and then you turn around and we can't, knock on wood, but in 2 weeks, they better be ready to play.
Well, there's no question. I mean, look, they're going to go no matter what happens this week to the Bengals. The Bengals are in a playoff hunt. Even if they lose again, they'll be 5-5. I mean, that's still 500 with 6 games left. So,
Andy, we're in the playoff hunt. You win out.
Okay.
You win out.
Oh, okay. I love the Browns. Prove me wrong. I'm ready to go.
Listen, there's not a chance in hell. There's not a chance in hell.
How about this? In Cincinnati, and I'll start talking about that a little bit. But
listen, Andy, there's a lot of people out there already talking about this, and let me double check your questions because I don't want to ruin it. Okay, nope. I'm not gonna say it. I'll save it.
Here's the thing.
The other part.
Okay, I want to tell us all Brown fans, and I'm kind of glad you brought this up. So I was debating whether to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up. Enjoy the win.
Yes.
Let's win again, and then let's start talking long term. Okay. Don't go playoffs on a bye week 3-6-1. Keep winning some games. Get to 500. The Browns need to get to 6-6-1. Then actually, Jared, that is my ultimatum. You go 6-6-1, you win 3 in a row. Hey, and I'm not joking. Like, maybe you can. Hey, now you can start sniffing that. But you got to keep winning games. But before all that, enjoy what you just did. This was a great win. The Browns need wins like this. And guess what? They now have the talent to do so. Don't get too far ahead yet, because A, it's not there, and B, things can change in a heartbeat. Hell, maybe Hugh Jackson will get signed by the Bengals. Oh, wait, he did.
Yeah, what about that crazy news?
We'll get to that in a second. Enjoy this win. This is a great win. The Browns have not had a win like this since the Cincinnati game on Thursday night with Brian Hoyer. It was a going-away laugher. Really was. Even when the Falcons had the ball, I told my son, I'm like, they're not going to win this game. Can't believe I'm saying this. The Browns are going to win.
Yeah.
The Falcons are not going to win this game. Game's over. So to have that kind of win was much needed. It just proves a lot. Kudos to Greg Williams. Kudos to Dorsey. And for everybody out there who said you can't fire Hugh midseason, that's BS. That was the right move. And that proved it on Sunday.
Yep. Can't fire Blatt midseason either. Oops.
Well, that's my point. I mean, never you ask me. Well, you can't. Never you ask me that question. You can fire people mid-season sometimes.
Sometimes that's the change that's needed. Ding, ding, ding.
That's my point. I think on this podcast, I'm just gonna be honest with you. We're pretty smart. We've guessed some things. We get some things wrong too. Don't look at the baseball predictions. They were way wrong.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, but baseball's a different beast right now as it is anyway.
Yeah, who cares about that right now? But my point is, like, some of these things you could foresee. And I think we saw it really starting last week. I felt it too. We both did. And again, like, I'm just so happy for the Browns and so happy for the city because they really needed this one. This win meant more to me than the Jets win. I loved this win. Love this win. This win meant more to me than Ravens win. I love this win.
What if I said this, Andy, and I mean this, and I hope you know where I'm coming from, that even the way the offense played in the Chiefs game had me feeling better about this team than the win against the Jets. Do you know what I mean?
Whenever you and I both said, I said it, I thought the Browns picked the wrong week to play the Chiefs. Chiefs are really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay? The Pittsburgh Steelers right now are playing really well. The Chargers are on fire. Okay? The Buccaneers game, I was just that Carlos Hyde thing threw everything off. When you play good teams and you're slightly off, you're gonna get blown out or you're gonna get waxed. Or in the case of the Browns, the Chiefs are so stinking red hot going in that game that they just blew the doors off you.
Well, and you had a defense that was really beat up that week too.
But and Andy Reid can coach, and he can. And again, let's not go back there. The Browns did a great job this week of rebounding. They got healthy on key positions. Now you go into the bye week. It feels so much different. Again, I will stress this a lot throughout these last 6 games. Wins are important for this organization, not high draft picks. Wins. You need to keep winning. Start building a culture of success, not a culture of draft picks. And you know why? You have a stack of draft picks. If you ever want to trade up to get something, you have the capital to do that. So don't worry about where your draft status is. Worry about wins and losses. Wins and losses. I want to start winning games, and I was glad to see that because I was very fearful after Carlos Hyde. I was kind of wondering where this was going to go, but in fairness to Dorsey, he really did this. He really just did a nice job. All right,
and let's not forget Baker. I think Baker sets the tone. He put blinders on too.
Yeah, I mean, let's go to the first question. Baker Mayfield. I heard from Tony Grossi. I kind of listened to some other people. I've watched a lot of NFL football. So have you, Jared. That from a rookie is pretty. That's a perfect game. No hitter. That's a no hitter for sure. Perfect game in a pitcher standpoint. I mean,
yep.
Baker Mayfield. I'm going to eat my crow. I was dead wrong about him. And kudos to him. Kudos to his attitude, and kudos to John Dorsey for not listening to people like myself.
I didn't know how to feel early on with that pick, but all I can say that I know that a lot of my misgivings about him came from being a Buckeyes fan. That's all it was. I never bought into the Johnny football narrative, to the Johnny 2.0 narrative, only because you're missing when you're being very superficial, and that, not you personally, but if you're evaluating him as Johnny 2.0, you're looking at what? You're looking at his size. You're looking at his him being a dynamic college football quarterback. I mean, those are the only really 2 things. I don't know, I don't know how you could predict that he would have come into the league and jacked it up as royally as Johnny did. So I never felt that way, but I didn't know what I was getting, Andy. I didn't know what I was getting, just like I don't know what we're getting, with a head coach down the road. I need to see these things play out.
I felt
pleasantly
Baker more
surprised.
Tim Tebow. Yeah, I felt Tebow. What I meant by that is like Tebow was a winner. Well, I thought Tebow was a guy too who really scrambled a lot, was flashy. I saw a lot of that in Baker's Oklahoma. But what I learned is in college, he was playing to the system of Lincoln Riley. And actually, Mayfield's adapted his game to the NFL wonderfully. And that's what Tim Tebow did not do.
His arm strength is what surprised me most early on. And I started to have hope in the preseason that he was going to be the right guy.
Arm strength and his mentality. And what I mean by that is I was blown away by how he checked down from the Chiefs game to this game. Checkdowns were just unbelievable. Folks, he was on fire. He just called a perfect game. I don't know how to say it. Reminds me of a pitcher. He called a perfect game.
Yeah. I mean, he was 10 for 10 in the first half and then only had the 3 incompletions in the second.
And one was a throwaway. What was a throwaway? Yep. I mean, I'm just telling you, I was blown away by Baker Mayfield.
Making me want to put
blown
the game
away.
On. I'll rewatch.
I taped it. I'm going to watch it again. I mean, I'm telling you, he's giving me goosebumps. He really is. Baker Mayfield is a star. He's just special.
I told you the one thing I wanted out of the rest of this season when we didn't know what was going to happen before that Chiefs game, and that was protect the quarterback. And look at what a difference it makes just protecting the quarterback. Giving him
2 weeks. Think about that. Whew. That's what I keep telling myself. I'm like, think about this. This kid went through a major coaching change, got his new left tackle, and it took him 2 weeks to look like that. Folks, buckle up. It's going to be fun.
I know, right?
I really do. Look, I don't know about playoffs, but I think you're going to see some competitive football games from this team.
I say playoffs because it's funny. That's the only reason I said that.
No, but to what people are saying, that energy is proper. The energy level is proper.
Yes.
Because this team's going to be in some dogfights. It's going to be great. Question 2, I'm surprised this question's been brought up, but it's appropriate after yesterday. I'll let you lead off. Can a combo of Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens? I mean, I don't think this was possible probably before Sunday, but now after Sunday, could they be possibly being looked at as coming back?
Well, it's difficult for me. I never like to do that knee-jerk reaction after a game like this, because we all know that anything can happen over the next 6 games. Or how many we have left? 6? Is this 6? 1, 2. Yeah, it's 6 games.
Yeah, we have 10 games in. Yep.
So, but I said it even before this week that I think it's a possibility. At least I brought up the question thinking, without saying it, that I think it's a possibility. So yeah, I'm there because what I'm seeing out of Greg Williams, I told you, last week when he stepped up to the podium, you were getting legitimate, solid answers to questions about strategy, about gameplay, and about where they were going and what they were doing to get there. Things that you have never heard the entire time Hugh Jackson was here. He just sounds like a smart football guy, right? Then you go to the way that Freddie Kitchens works with that offense, asking them what their top 5 favorite plays were and incorporating those. What do they feel comfortable running? How do they like to run this and that? And mixing it up where you're stacking the backfield, you're giving Baker time, and you're letting your playmakers, work their. You're letting Duke. There's just so many possibilities that open up when you let those guys do what they feel comfortable with doing. And
Mayfield can execute. And then
there's a trust there. I don't want to remove that. I don't want to lose that. If they're building something. You can't.
I'm going to say this. I think you said it right off the top. I felt the same way. Too early to tell.
Yeah.
But after Houston, I think you're going to get a pretty good vibe. Because if you split, I think it gains some momentum. If you lose both, I think all this is a deflated balloon. If you win both, Panthers coming up after that. I think you'll start seeing a lot of momentum into it. Early on, they're doing the correct swagger. They're doing an excellent job of controlling it. They actually have a bye week, which I think helps them. Mm-hmm. I think out of nowhere, they actually have a fair opportunity here. But these next 2 games are key. They have to at least split or win both. You can't lose both. If they lose both, it's a deflated balloon. Back to square one. So they have 2 big games. And by the way, these are not cupcakes. At Cincy, at Houston, 2 teams are trying to get in the playoffs. So these are good tests for the Browns. All right. We've been talking all this year about what the negative swirls were, so I wanted to throw a positive in there, and I'll lead off. Mm-hmm. The biggest surprise in these 2 games now, I think we've seen some growth, and we kind of alluded to it. I think the Chiefs, again, wrong team. I think any other team, I think the Browns would have won most of those games, and then what they did on Sunday kind of proved that. The biggest positive I'm already seeing goes hand in hand. The concentration and the focus when it comes to penalties and drop passes have just been alarmingly better. And again, the drop passes especially, I was more speaking of like, no, it's because they're passing it shorter and, just some different things I'm seeing. In the game against the Falcons on Sunday, they did everything, and there was not one pass, Jared, that looked nerve-wracking. I'm just amazed by the focus.
They give a S, Andy.
They give an S, but they're prepared and they're focused, and they do give an S. I don't want to shine a light. I just have been shocked about how this team has gone in 2 weeks. So in 14 days, what a huge improvement when it comes to that stuff. Huge.
It's like they shed their old selves, their old skin,
Yep.
It's like a whole bunch of baggage is just, they just let it go. They let it go.
Yeah.
And they wanted to let it go during, before this. You knew that you could tell by the way they were talking. Even Myles Garrett would speak up when he wanted to. You could tell they're like, enough. We are better than what is going on around us. And they're proving it now.
And I'll say this too, this is not a soft schedule they've played this year. This has not been a light schedule, and the schedule coming up is not light. So this is legitimately this team's been well tested. I mean, this is not like, again, sometimes we've all had years where it's like, I don't know if the team's been properly tested. Boy, the Browns have been tested. I think their schedule's been a gauntlet. And by the way, I think their first 2 games after the bye are enormously big. I mean, 2 games on the road against 2 playoff teams, that just doesn't get any more tough than that. So with that in mind, I thought we'd play the schedule game.
Yep.
Because everybody is talking playoffs. So how about I lead off, and then we'll switch back and forth.
Yep.
At Cincinnati. So before we do that, you kind of teed it up. And I know you have a big teddy bear lovey-dovey feeling for Hugh Jackson.
Man, I feel like, I'm sorry, Hugh. I really am. I feel guilty for how angry I am at how awful he was. Like again, it's not personal.
No, it's not. And none of this is personal. I was buying, hey, Chetty Osmond, I'll buy a beer tomorrow. I think Chetty's a nice guy, but can't play 40 minutes a game. We'll get to that in a second. But don't worry, I got some notes on that again today.
Yep.
Along with Larry Nance Jr. But my point, and by the way, and I'm pause away for Larry Nance Jr. But my point being, kind of alluded to. So now Hugh's going back to Cincinnati as a coordinator or whatever you want to term him as. I don't know what they can
special advisor to the head coach.
Okay, he's going to be there. Whatever. It just says a lot that's how it all kind of fit back in. And again, kudos to Tony Grossi, who predicted it. I think he even predicted it again this morning when I was listening to
He was the first to yell it out from the moment that Hugh was let go. Yep.
So if I take kudos for some things, hey, kudos to Grossi. He was all over that. All over from day one, predicting that and so he's back there. So Hugh Jackson's back in Cincinnati. Womp womp. My point being, before Jared and I hopped on here, it's always a rivalry game with the Bengals. I really want the Browns to beat the Bengals twice, not once, twice. I really, really, really want to pound them now. And again, it hasn't been that way for a little bit with the Bengals. It will be coming back from the bye week, and I see Hugh Jackson on the sideline or anywhere on cameras. I'll be like, oh, man, I really want to beat the Bengals bad. Oh, my gosh, I want to beat them bad. With that said, coming off a bye week at Cincinnati, I think this is I think Jared is the only one. I'll probably feel this way going all the way up. It is a coin flip. You and I talked about this going in. I will take the Browns as a positivity, but I will be fair. Could change my mind going back and forth. That's a tough game at Cincinnati. I'll take the Browns, but lightly.
Let's see how the Bengals do this coming week in Baltimore.
I agree. And by the way, you and I can change your minds, but for today, Jared Watson says, I say they win.
I'm saying Browns blowout. I think there are too many players on that team that want to take out everything that they had to keep their mouths shut about through the first half of this season and ram it down Cincinnati's throats. Oh, you want Hugh? You think you like him over there in Cincy? Okay. I think Baker. All right. I don't change the way that we play. I don't change the approach. As offensively. Mm-hmm. I really do think they can run it up in Cincy, because I think Cincy, you think they're going to be a little cocky?
I think Cincinnati right now is tilting.
They've been looking that way.
But here's the thing: the Browns have not won a game on the road against a rival in a long time, since the Warrior game. So, or maybe before that, actually, no, they won that game with McCown in Baltimore. Since McCown altered overtime in Baltimore, right? So it's been a while. I think they win that game, but I think it's going to be squeaky close. I really do. I think it'll be. But anyways, that's for today. At Houston, I'll be fair. I think that's probably a loss. I think it's a tough game for the Browns to win on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. If they,
it's a tough game. Those first two games are brutal, and then you land against Carolina. I think the Browns will beat Carolina at home. So I say 2-1 after the bye.
Yeah, I don't know that I could argue that, but I don't know. All right, I jokingly yelled out that they'll trounce Cincinnati, but now I'm already
See, it's okay.
looking at this, and I'm thinking they either beat Cincinnati or Houston. I don't know that they win both of those games, but I don't know that they win the Cincy or the Houston game over the other. I feel like they've got less of a chance to beat Houston in Houston.
I do too. And I'll say this again. If somehow Kitchens and Williams wins both those games, I think that changes.
Well, then you have to beat the Panthers at home. Like you don't have an option. And I think you'd take Denver Saturday night.
I think that's a goofy game. I think it depends on where those other games go. I would actually say that might be a loss. I don't think there's any chance in hell the Browns lose at home to Cincinnati. None.
No.
See, I feel the same way about you do at Cincinnati. At Cincy, I feel that way at home. None. Zero. There's no way they let that happen. None.
Well, what about this though? If they do take that game in Cincinnati, do you think Cincinnati? If Cincinnati's, I think it depends on whether Cincinnati's in the playoff hunt at that point too.
I don't think it matters.
No?
I think that'll be the game. Baker just does not care. I'm starting to learn something about Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's going to let that game get by.
Yeah.
I don't see him losing that last home game. I just don't see it. And that's great. By the way, I love saying that. I just don't see it happening. The Baltimore game at Baltimore, there's going to be a lot riding in this game. It's not like college. College usually, when things come to an end, the game carries emotion positively. Pros, it's not as likely at times. It's weird. Right now, Baltimore's 4-5. It's Ozzie last game. He's going to be in the organization, but his last game is really GM, head of player personnel. The writing's really on the wall about Harbaugh as well.
Yep.
That's going to be a tricky game.
I never thought that Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's at Baltimore. I could actually see the Browns win that game if the Baltimore Ravens are totally dejected and they kind of know the end is near. Because again, in college, it's weird. It carries. And the pros, when you know everything's done, sometimes it's hard to show up on Sundays, I find, for pros. I think it's going to be a goofy game. I guess at the end of the day, when I see it, I see the Browns going 4-2, 3-3 down the stretch.
So I'm actually at this point, we're going to have to see how the Browns look over the next couple of games. But if I've got a Browns team that's won 3 or 4 coming into that Baltimore game, and Baltimore's looking, I'm really hoping that Baltimore looks like garbage the rest of the season but this is for purely selfish reasons. I want to get some cheap tickets and I want to go to the game.
Well, you will.
I didn't think it would happen.
By the way, I'll take the Excella down and meet you because.
Oh yeah, if you want to, absolutely. Let's see how this plays out, and I'll start following the ticket exchange and try to grab a couple cheapos.
Cheapos, but it won't be that expensive. But again, I think what we're all saying here, it's funny how things change. I think 6, 5 wins, 7 wins are in play. I do. They're
in play. I don't think that they can. You're not going to run the table on these 6 teams.
No. What I'm saying is a total of 6, 7 wins.
No, I gotcha. No. That's it. I'm just making sure that people don't think I've jumped off the cliff talking about.
No. I mean,
I don't know how you take. I just don't know, especially knowing that injuries will happen over the next 6 games too.
Injuries, goofy things, and again. You're not playing, again, the first 2 games up for a team this young is going to be very, very challenging. Walking into Cincinnati, a team that's going to be very animated and wanting to get into the playoffs, and then you have to follow that emotion right back up in Houston. That's going to be tough. The Browns are going to have to really face a gauntlet here.
Yep.
And then
they're going to have short memories if one of these doesn't work out the way they want.
Yeah, then no laydown game against Cam Newton at home. So,
no.
I mean, it's really have a tough gauntlet coming up. So again, that's also what makes this season so feel, not that it wouldn't have been anyways, but this is a legit thing. This schedule's been tasking. It's great to see the Browns really play well as the season goes on.
Yeah.
And and you know what, Jared? It's fun to talk about wins and losses, not draft picks. Because I was being sarcastic.
It's also fun to watch the team throughout the season improve and not get worse like we've gotten so accustomed to. This is the first time where I've got, we don't have a great record coming out of the bye week, but I feel better about this team than I've felt in a very long time.
Oh, hey, I mean, they're competitive during games. And again, that was the whirlwind is over. That tornado F5 storm that hit during the Chargers week is now gone. The destruction's been laid out, and they're now rebuilding and getting ready. And, it's exciting. There's a lot of hope here. And it really all ends and starts at Baker Mayfield. It really does.
What do you take when you hear the rumors that, and of course they come out now, that the front office, that the Haslams were the only ones who wanted Hugh, and that the front office and Sashi, they actually wanted
I don't want, you know what, folks, it's all done. It's all buried. I'll just say this. That decision was a very, very poor decision. It should have never happened, and it did. And
fans liked it. I actually liked it when it first happened. I thought he was the guy.
Wait. I'm sorry. I'm mishearing what you're saying. When he first got hired, yeah, he was a really
right. We all thought he was a guy. I just feel like the story's coming out now that no one else agreed in the front office. Is kind of why is this even coming up right now?
Let me rewind. Hugh Jackson was a popular hire. Okay. Yeah. The day I fell off the boat was very fast. It was two things. One was the RG3 thing. I still this day, can't believe we did that. And Cody Kessler, because I watched a lot of UFC football. And I look at this face. I was like, Cody Kessler? Really? That's all. I mean.
Do you think Brian Hoyer got a raw deal? Let's talk about him, too.
By the way, no, you're going to scratch a niche. That's bad. Brian Hoyer's not that good. That just did not work out either. That was a mirage. All these things are mirages, okay? And good news. We now have Baker Mayfield.
Exactly.
So
it's not a mirage.
All these things are mirages. I mean, but that I will never forget the RG3 signing and then the belly flop of Cody Kessler. People who have not seen, watch the USC video of Cody Kessler. It's just as sad as it was in the pros. And I just remember watching that going, we drafted a kid at USC who couldn't win big games and had many opportunities. I'm like, hey, okay, we're not going to stand back Cody Kessler. But anyways, that did not work out. Baker Mayfield's in is exciting, and that was just such a great win all the way around. All right, so I could never have been more wrong about the Cowboys. Every time I try to bury this damn team, they seem to rise like the dead in the NFL.
Yeah, I was surprised to wake up and find out.
And not only that, I poo-pooed that game. It was the best game of the weekend. Cowboys-Eagles was actually a good game. Zeke Elliott had one of those Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith type nights. He really rode the Cowboys to victory. Zeke Elliott was wonderful. He deserves every bit of credit for that game. Cowboys stay alive, and it's a Super Bowl hangover for sure there. In any other year, the Eagles fans would be freaking out, but boy, the Eagles are a weird 4-5. Harder team to figure. They should be better than that, but again, they won a Super Bowl, so what can you do? We kind of alluded to it. The Saints are one thing. They beat the Bengals, but the way they beat the Bengals off a bye week for Cincinnati. Boy, Jared, makes you feel better about that Saints loss.
No, really? Yeah, absolutely. It does, because it just shows you, again, there's so much to be said about how a football team is trending in the NFL. Yeah. And knowing that the Browns legitimately, I mean, that's when they were showing their sparks of who they could be. Yeah. They came to life. Their identity was forming at that point.
Yeah, I laugh. You know what? I'm gonna remember that for one thing. And then wherever he is, I hope he's doing well. Goddamn Zing and Wallace. God, that game was awful. Woo! Zane, I love you. I hope you're doing well. But God, You say Saints, I'll be like, where's Zane Gonzalez? Hope he's doing well. Because that game, that was a terrible, terrible kicking display. All right, so
that was Bengals, then. This is now, though. The Bengals getting walked on by the Saints is huge.
I like Mike Joseph kicking important extra points. I think that's a good role. We should keep in that role. The Jets had a bizarre blowout, and we talk about our coaching debacle. Boy, Bowles is going to get fired here soon at the end of the year.
Yeah, word is they're not going to get rid of him before the end of the year, though. That's what I
think it's too late. See, that's a difference. See, that's where I do agree. It's like, yeah, I think at this point you're just right. There's no real inside turmoil. They're just not very good. Mm-hmm. The Jets, though, you look afar, and living here in this area, you can feel it. The Browns and the Jets had the same amount of victories. And yes, we're coming off a win, so it feels a little better. But even before that, I think the Browns are actually way ahead of the curve compared to the Jets right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people early on the season. I mean, there were a lot of people that wanted to crown Baker Mayfield early, but at the same time, there were a lot of people that had questions, especially because he wasn't starting, and you had some other rookies around the league that were coming out first. But the Browns, we're at a point now where we see, when it comes to the quarterbacks out of this rookie class, there's Baker's is ahead.
Baker's had, but Baker's got better talent. Baker's got better talent than Jets do.
Yep,
and
yep.
By the way, Michael Greenberg, love you, buddy. But how about that comment now? Huh? How about that comment now? How about that comment now?
Didn't age well, did it?
No, that was a silly. I like Mike, nice guy. That was a stupid comment.
It was awful.
Stupid comment. Des Bryant gone after 1 year. I felt bad for Des. I don't want to make this too much into it. I don't care. I don't give a blank about the Steelers. But, if you're Le'Veon Bell, do you look at that and pause? Because that's a guy who sat out all year and tried to warm up his hammy, and it didn't go well. That Des Bryant thing.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of a freak thing, but at the same time, yeah, you're coming in. There's no way you're in the same condition as these guys have been playing all season. They're just.
Yeah.
And he thought he'd be cute. He thought he'd wait long enough to pick the contender. That's what it was, right? If the Browns had won more at some of these close ones early on, he'd have come to Cleveland. If he thought he's ring shopping.
Well, yeah, I think there was do-si-doing. I think at both ends, and we'll never know the real story. I'll be fair, it does. The Browns didn't really roll out the red carpet either. So I think it was
you know what though? Why should they?
Well, I don't want to do that today in this podcast, but I know what you mean.
I mean, they don't want to be beggars.
No, I hear you.
John Dorsey's not going to do that.
It's all worked out. We got Sean Perriman. We have Perriman now, so whatever. But it's all worked out, and Des did not work out. He's injured for the year. But no, you're right. You're right. I still think we should have added Des Wilson. But whatever. Okay.
Well, I don't. Yeah, no. I don't have any ill feelings against Des. I mean, I do feel bad that this happened. I'm not sitting here saying that he got what he deserved or something like that at all. I really do feel like, damn, that's a bummer. Like, what a bummer. But I mean,
I think if the Browns had Des Bryant, they would have won more games. I really do.
Well, even just the name factor, he'd have pulled more. He'd have pulled more eyes on any secondary. He would add the eyes of anyone, and because you never know when Des is gonna. If he came back, he's gonna have a breakout game. He might not be the same Des, but he's gonna have a big game, and none of them defenses want to have that happen to them.
Well, yeah, just think, Hugh Jackson be coach of the week, and Des Bryant.
We'd be dragging this out even longer.
Right. So maybe it's better come see, come saw, right? And hey, the Pats lose. What a perfect Sunday. The Bengals lose, Steelers don't play, Ravens off, and the Pats lose. It's a perfect Sunday. Perfect Sunday for us.
I told my wife it was opposite day. She's a poor Pats fan.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of Super Bowl rings over there.
I know. I don't feel any.
I think everything will be fine. All right, let's flip the bill. I was just talking to someone about this before I talked to you, Mr. Watson. Let's talk to college football.
Ohio State football.
If anybody likes a good punting contest, Lansing, Michigan was your game. This was a good old-fashioned 1980s, 1970s.
I told you it'd be low scoring.
You're right. By the way, who said 27-17 Browns and crowned Falcons. Is that me?
Did you call that one? I don't remember what I said.
27-17. Only 2 points off. 2016. But I'll tell you, not that I'm counting. Not that I would ever brag about my predictions on this show.
No.
Never would. Never would. Who called Hugh Jackson getting fired to steal this guy? By the way, we both predicted the Falcons win, too. So. And by the way, we both felt comfortably, too. Anyways, now that we're crowned geniuses, wait till you see our World Series picks this year, folks. They were great. Weird. Anyways.
It was awful.
It was, I could never gotten more things wrong in a baseball playoff. But Ohio State, back to them. This was a great, I know people hate hearing this, and I know Mr. Watson's probably squirming in his chair. We have this great momentum coming for a neutral fan because John Harbaugh keeps winning games, and Ohio State keeps winning games, and we're going to meet up in matrimony. Let's put that aside for a second because I see something. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm actually going to help the Buckeye fan here. I think this is stroming along perfectly. They haven't played a good game all year. Here's another game again where the Buckeyes don't really play that sharp. Oh. Weber had a good day running the ball. It was again
another dumb turnover, I think, too, didn't it?
No, another dumb turnover, but again, opposite day. The defense for Ohio State shows up. I know Michigan State can't really do much, but hey, they showed up and did a great job on defense. They finally stopped. I mean, they stopped Michigan State. Michigan State couldn't do anything on the game, and really punting was a big thing in this game. Finally forced Michigan State into which I haven't seen since the 80s. They actually took a safety to go 9-6, setting up field position. And what does the kicker do for Michigan State? Kicks it out of bounds. So Ohio State gets the ball right back at the 50. Bang, boom, boom. Another punt, turnover, bang, game over. I know fans who probably Watson.
Andy, I sat there with that game on the background. I would peek up every once in a while, and I was writing papers for school. I paid zero attention to that game. I looked at the score, and that's all I did because I knew I would just get annoyed, and I wondered to myself, all right, is Michigan State this terrible, or are they going to end up figuring out what everyone else has figured out against Ohio State's defense?
Ohio State played really well. Yeah, I'm telling you, I will help you. I watched every second of this game, and I'm telling you, as someone who watched and studied it, this is perfect for a team that's laying in the weeds. Ohio State still hasn't played their perfect game. Haskins again played okay. Yeah. He played better. He played terrible against Nebraska. He played better this week. The only thing from Ohio State I'm really going to nudge them on negatively, the wide receivers, I don't know if they just didn't show up. I don't know if the effort and the drops in this game were bad from Ohio State. A lot of times the routes weren't run properly.
Nope.
A lot of drop passes in this game. The effort on the wide receivers in this game was very questionable. That aside, they made enough plays to win. I thought really Michigan State played really stout on defense, which is the reason why Haskins again played okay. In fairness, Michigan State took some things away. But I like how this team's going into this Maryland. I mean, Maryland, I just think that's a speed bump at this point for everything they've been dealing with. And same with Indiana. Michigan plays Indiana at home. I love where this is going because when I was growing up in Columbus, every year in the 90s, clearly the better team was with John Cooper and Ohio State. And then Michigan would come to town and they would lose. And 20 years later, it's the exact reverse. This is going to be the biggest game in John Harbaugh's life at Michigan coming up. If everything plays out, it is going to be so much pressure on Michigan. If
he loses this game, is he gone?
Oh, Jared. Oh, you can't lose this game. I love this. This is how it used to build for Cooper. Yeah. And it's going the exact same way for Harbaugh. You can do whatever you want to against Indiana. But if you lose that game to Ohio State, nothing matters. Nothing. And that game is going to be it's very rare in our lifetimes where the pressure is on Michigan. It's going to be all on Michigan.
Has Mike Weber figured it out at this point, do you think?
Who's figured it out?
Mike Weber, I worry about him putting the ball on the ground, but
Ohio State.
He's run the ball. He's run the ball well for 2 weeks in a row now, right? I mean,
I see Ohio State improving. I see Ohio State tightening some things up. Ohio State just looks like a team that's it reminds me of the Browns. It's like we've gone through so much stuff this year that it's finally settled. I thought by the fourth quarter, Ohio State, and by the way, the score indicated the game had finally settled down for the first time in a while. And it's settled down. And that's all you sometimes need in sports is just to be able to take a breath. Let's see how Ohio State does against Maryland. If this game is back and forth and it's a 10-point win for Ohio State, but the game is sloppy, then I'm going to have a different vibe going into the game after that. But if it is a blowout and they really punctuated, Jared, I'm telling you, Ohio State's laying in the weeds. They don't have a lot, but they have fingernails chance here to get in the backdoor playoff if things get haywire.
I don't want them to.
And again, I'll tell you, Ohio State's got enough talent to win things. And the other thing,
that's one thing that I will agree with 100%. There's no way they don't have the talent.
They have talent to win things. They can get off the bus and play with Clemson and Alabama. Now, team-wise, they haven't been up to sniff of either one of those teams.
No.
But they have talent to match. The thing that's going to be the big story in 2 weeks, unless something really strange happens, and we'll save that for this Friday, Michigan, Ohio State's going to be one of the biggest. For one of the reverses, Michigan's going to have to win this. It's going to be suffocating the pressure in that game. Suffocating. They have to win that game.
I've got friends asking if I'll be there in Columbus too. Everyone, and I'm like, no, I can't. I won't be able to make it. I think I'll be in North Carolina at the time.
I will be in Columbus for Thanksgiving, and I'll be back in Connecticut by Saturday, because I want to watch it at home in my peaceful house.
Yeah,
I'll watch every second of it. But anyways, that's for 2 weeks from now. Let's see if both teams can stay alive. But again, Michigan plays Indiana. Ohio State plays Maryland. We'll get into more of that on Friday. But again, Ohio State, the punting by Krishman, again, just a wonderful job of special teams in this game. The Buckeyes, it was like a Jim Tressel win. They just did enough things on special teams to get themselves in position to win. Haskins is still trying to figure things out. I still like Haskins, but these last two games have been a bit eyebrow-raising, especially Nebraska. And again, in this game, I thought did not get any help from his wide receivers.
No, and still, you know what? 39 passes still feels like a lot of throwing the ball. And
yeah, Ohio State's it's not in rhythm by any means. But again, you have a game where you can get in rhythm before Michigan. I think this Maryland game's not so much can they beat Maryland, can they get in stride, right? Because you can't break cold into Michigan. I just don't think you can do that this year.
No.
Ohio State needs to have a good, juicy win before that game. So we'll see what happens. And again, that's for Friday. So I'll leave that there. Florida State, used to be I'm going to start off with Florida State. It happens all the time. There's a period in the 90s when Oklahoma was terrible. There was a period, and now recent years when Nebraska, when I was growing up, Nebraska always went 10-1 or 11-0, and now they've just been sideways. I mean, I know Frost won another game, but FSU's now hit the new mark for this generation. They are, Jared, they are so bad.
It happened.
I mean, coaching, there's a lot of errors. I mean, Florida State, I knew what Notre Dame was getting into this game with Winbush. And if you ask Notre Dame, hey, how can we start this game to help you out? You can throw a pick. Florida State throws a pick 3 plays in. And it goes right to the 3-yard line. It's like game, set, and match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all the pressure off the game. And not that I think Notre Dame had a ton of pressure, but again, when you have a quarterback who hasn't played most of the year coming in off the bench on a cold night, it makes you wonder. I thought Notre Dame played good. I don't think they played great. Dexter Williams had a great day, though. He was wonderful. Winbush did play well. He did a great job first half. Saw the old Winbush kind of creep in as the game went on, threw a terrible pick in the third quarter. But again, FSU
really
so
slowed down scoring wise at that. Were they just playing? I didn't watch any of the game, Andy. Were they just looking to protect the ball at that point? And
But Jared, if you really want the real story in this game, even though Notre Dame should be the story, and I'll get to them in a second, Florida State's really bad. It's alarming. They have talent. If I were Taggart, I'd be really careful about next year. I'd be really careful. They at one point spent all their timeouts about midway through the second quarter, and then they had the ball late around midfield, and they got a penalty, so they had the 10-second runoff. Jared is like 28 seconds. So 28 seconds, the clock starts running, right? Florida State didn't snap the ball until 7 seconds. And And that was the end of the first half.
Oh, so there's no discipline with that team? No
discipline, no focus. They're just kind of run.
Well, and they don't look like they can get in the end zone. They've got numbers that don't really correlate to scoring.
On that field, you watch Florida State, you're like, that kid can play. You can see talent on field.
Yeah.
Florida State, it's going to be interesting. Again, Taggart deserves a couple years. Boy, I'm telling you, it's dramatic how bad Florida State is. So back to Notre Dame. I just wanted to mention that. I was really stunned. I knew Florida State is bad. They're dysfunctional. There you go. That's a dysfunctional team.
You think Ian's going to be ready to come back against Syracuse?
I'm hearing what I thought I was going to hear. I think there's more to this injury we know. And I don't
really, because what I heard before this weekend was that they were expecting, or on Saturday actually before the game, they were expecting him to be ready by next week.
They haven't even announced that yet. See, again, I think there's more to this injury than what we know.
Boy.
I really do. Look, Notre Dame is going to – this is one of those games, and I love the Irish, and they put this game on because they wanted to make money and they wanted to recruit well. So they put a fancy game up in Yankee Stadium, and now you got the 1 year Syracuse is really good. And now you're playing Yankee Stadium in a big game.
Yeah,
Huge
I remember
game.
when they started doing that, the Pinstripe Bowl, right?
The Pinstripe Bowl, right?
Yep.
I will warn people who are Irish fans who don't live in this area. Syracuse, we mentioned a few podcasts back. Mm-hmm. Syracuse is playing well. They're probably going to be ranked 11th or 12th this week in the playoff poll.
Yep.
This is going to be, again, I want to save it for Friday. Notre Dame played well enough to beat Florida State. They played well the last few weeks. If I'm being honest and fair, this is their first heavyweight test. I felt this all year. I've been mentioning this podcast. Syracuse is going to be a tough game on Saturday, 2:30.
Yeah.
And I'll see the preview for that because that's what I'll lead off the college football thing with. I think they have a lot going into it. And the story all week is going to be Ian Book. Kelly has not announced the starter yet. He's saying it looks like it's going to be Ian, but he's not officially named him yet. Because, again, I think there's more to that injury than what we know.
Before we roll into some of the other stuff around college football, I want to ask you this, and I don't know how you view it. I feel like it's tabloidish, but I feel like it's relevant.
Sure.
Zach Smith has kind of gone off his rocker.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up. Yeah. All right. So look here
on Twitter, and he's saying stuff that is damning,
personal. We talk about getting personal,
but damning nonetheless. Going after University of Texas coach Tom Herman, and just let's break down the high school drama of this. Basically, what it comes down to is Zach Smith, the fired assistant coach for the Ohio State Buckeyes, who was accused of assaulting his wife and domestic violence, and Urban kind of denying knowing about these things, and it's been the ugliness that has been shrouding my view of the Ohio State Buckeyes this entire season, and now you've got Zach coming out loud on Twitter going after University of Texas head coach Tom Herman, claiming that he put Zach's wife in touch with Britt McCaffrey, correct? Or Britt, what's her face from she's with ESPN, isn't she? Or is she with Fox?
Britt Henry.
Britt Henry, thank you. And Mr.
McMurphy was he mentioning there? And McMurphy. I haven't. Here's the whole thing.
I'd have to look it up, but the issue is that it's not even really that much of a back and forth. It's just Zach saying that he's deflecting from his own issues and airing other people's dirty laundry. How's that playing out in Texas? Have you seen anything? I haven't even looked.
I think Tom Herman's doing the right thing by saying no comment, and he should. There's a lot of things going on.
There's no place for any of this. No.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a fan of Zach Smith at all. And I think Zach Smith needs to really start, focusing on himself and getting his life in order because he did some terrible things. And for him to start spouting off things like that, I don't think it's appropriate at all. I think it's very tabloidish, as you said. It's hard to say what's true or is not true. You don't want to give credit to a guy like that who's very discreditable, in my opinion. I don't think Zach Smith's word's worth anything. So for him to say that on Twitter to me means nothing. I don't think, and by the way, I think that says a lot about Zach Smith. He's a hothead. He says
what I
things.
worry about is when I see behavior like this, Andy, it points to more dangerous, it foreshadows a more dangerous thing. And I don't even mean in regard of Zach doing anything to anyone else, but at this point, it really is, from what I've read on his tweets, he's a danger to himself. At least that's that somebody needs to be checking in on him. Let's put it that way.
Well, again, Zach needs
it's
to,
sad.
again, I said it 2 minutes ago, Zach needs to get focused on himself.
Yeah.
But at the same point, Zach is not doing the right thing. Zach is really letting his emotions take over. And again, none of that stuff is credible to me because I don't think Zach Smith is credible. And again, I'm not saying what he's saying is false, but to say that on Twitter doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean it happened.
No, and even if it is, it's a very personal thing.
Look, I'm not even going to comment on it. I don't know. And by the way, it's between Tom Herman and Zach Smith. But I don't like how Zach Smith's handling it. I'm not surprised Zach Smith's doing that because Zach Smith, honestly, Jared's not been acting appropriate from day one. I don't think Zach Smith's doing very good things.
Which blows my mind that Urban protected him for as long as he did. God bless. Does that piss me off, Andy?
Terrible decision. He's a terrible. He's done a lot of terrible things.
At least Jim Tressel was protecting kids who were getting tattoos. This is disgusting.
Zach Smith needs to go away. Needs to go get some help. Honestly needs to go away. And honestly, what I worry about as a parent is you're damaging your kids.
Oh. Just
stop saying that stuff and go away. Just stop saying stuff and go away. It's all hurtful. It's all bad. And again, I won't get any more of that stuff because it's here. He said. Some of it could be true. Of course, it could be. We weren't there. I don't know. But for Zach Smith,
neither here nor there.
Twitter, it doesn't matter. And I hate people that do that crap. I think it's very bullyish, and he's trying to be a bully, and he is a bully. Zach Smith's a bully, and he's trying to bully Tom Herman.
Yep.
Whether it's true or not, I don't like how he's handled it. I don't think he's a very good person, and I'm not surprised Zach Smith's doing that because Zach Smith's been acting like an a-hole from day one. So why would he stop now?
Yeah, can't argue it.
Anyways, moving on.
What a depressing topic. Oh, I needed to be addressed, but man, is it just it's sickening.
He's just a terrible guy, terrible human being. Around college football, Alabama keeps winning. I think the big thing here is that Tua's knee, I keep saying Tua's knee getting banged up again. You can, if you're an Alabama fan, you're obviously feeling that maybe teams are going after his knee. Look, Tua's knee is not healthy. They need to get through these next few weeks to get to the playoff, and that's where it is. Tua's going to win the Heisman as well at this point, but that knee is now something to get around. For people who actually, I love people, but picking BC to beat Clemson was silly. Clemson flexed their muscles and won by 20. They could have won that game by 30 if they wanted to. Clemson just keeps rolling. The more and more I watch Clemson, Jared, and the more Lawrence gets practice time and gets these games, and I mean practice time, it's the ACC. We tease the Big Ten. ACC is much worse shape than the Big Ten this year. The ACC is really down. I think people who were just misguided thinking NC State and BC, really the only team I've seen, and they gave them a great game with Syracuse. Outside of Syracuse, I've seen no one who can compete with Clemson in that conference at all. But Clemson's really hitting stride the right time. I think they could beat Alabama on the right day, but they're just such a superior team. It's going to be tough to beat them at this point. But Clemson, in the meantime, wins. Georgia wins against Auburn. Kind of a sloppy game here and there, but they did what they had to do to win. Hey, if you don't like defense, Oklahoma State should have been your game. No defense being played in the Bedlam series. Thrilling game. Again, goes down to 2-point conversion. Oklahoma State does not get it. I don't think Oklahoma's a legitimate playoff team. I'm tired of hearing that name in the playoff circle. They should have lost that game. I'm interested to see if they can beat West Virginia twice. They're going to have to beat West Virginia in a couple weeks, and they're going to probably play them again in the Big 12 championship. And I want to see Oklahoma beat that team twice. I just don't think they can do it. And then, it's annoying if you're a Purdue fan, which I'll get to last. But congrats to Northwestern. They won the West. Who would have had that at the beginning of the year after their start? Yeah. They lost to Akron, and they're going to represent the West of the Big Ten. Northwestern with a gutty win against Iowa, and kudos to Fitzgerald and those guys. I hear that sigh. It's amazing. Northwestern.
It doesn't do much for the Big Ten when Northwestern.
No, Wisconsin's down. I don't want to do this today. I want to kind of say this for Fridays. It's an off week, but I think you're starting to see the transition of the West. in the Big Ten. And I'll save that more for Friday. But
Okay.
in the meantime, Northwestern wins, and then I don't want to go too much on around this, and I do love Purdue, but and Brahm's done a nice job, and Brahm's going to get rumored a lot for Louisville, which we'll save for the end of the show because he's a Louisville guy, and Petrino got fired. But Purdue not showing up in Minnesota, that was awful. And again, no one really watches Purdue football except for a few of us here. But my God, what a terrible no-show by Purdue! I mean,
well, it doesn't bode well. It doesn't bode well going, going against Wisconsin next either. I mean, it's just.
I have seen this now a couple times from Brahms teams, and I like Brahm. I think he's a good coach, but they just looked like Purdue wanted no part of that snow, wanted no part of that game. Almost like they got off the bus and said, hey, just keep the bus warm. So we're just going to get on here as soon as possible. That was a bad performance. They laid an egg in Minneapolis.
I mean, it was even the 10 points. That's a touchdown in the fourth quarter.
It was 41-3 in the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Oh, it was all again. No one watched it, nor should one should. But my dad and I were definitely commenting on texting. Again, love Brahm. Brahm's done a great job. The Ohio State win was great. They won. They beat BC this year too. But gosh, that game, boy, Purdue's got to start winning, getting more tough. Anyways, I don't want to go too much off. I had to mention something there.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
All right, let's change the page. By the way, the NBA, a lot of news coming on. But quickly on the Cavs. It's such a weird week to say they had a good week and they didn't win, but I thought the Cavs had a good week and they didn't win. Sexton had a chance on Saturday night. People saw me tweeting. He had a chance to win the game late. Just couldn't hit the ball on the rim, but I thought they played a valiant effort against the Bulls, and the Bulls weren't very good either. Mm-hmm. Again, it's the same old song and dance. When Hood and Sexton play well, Jared, what happens?
Yeah,
the Cavs are in.
They have a chance. You're not gonna get consistent Hood. You're not getting it. I don't think that this is something. I know you could say it's too early with Hood. No, I saw enough of him last season into this season to know that he's just not going to deliver on a consistent basis. Not going to happen. He's like bipolar.
You and I are both on the Hood off wagon. Yes, I'm with you. I like Sexton a lot. I think Sexton's really had two strong games here in a row. The bigger thing here, one more positive thing, and I hope Chetty Osman comes back. I hope he's healthy. They do need Chetty. I love seeing Larry Nance play 31 minutes, and he had a really good plus-minus ratio in the game. I think more Larry Nance and less Chetty when he comes healthy would be a good thing for the Cavs. I think it'd be a good thing for the Cavs. And the other positive I took out of these last two games, we kind of alluded to it last Monday, Tristan Thompson had a really good week. And I would not have elected him at one point, but he's really been the alumni leader here early for the Cavs. He's really
good.
He's really played well. I mean, Tristan had a great game.
And he doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be putting in the work that he is right now. The man's getting paid, and it doesn't matter either way.
No, that's why I just want to tip the cap.
It's not a contract year, none of that.
Right. For people who aren't watching these games, Tristan Thompson, it's not just BS numbers. He's playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been really impressed by his play so far early on. All right. So those are the positives. The negatives, the two things that really stand out are kind of 1 and 1B. The Cavs passing and the Cavs offense ability is just so poor. They're going to have to do a lot here in the next season and a half to get it up to speed, in my opinion. I really mean that. I didn't just say a season and a half, because they play so much one-on-one basketball to a team that really can't go one-on-one a lot. That's frightening. The Cavs are going to have to get some sort of offense developed this year, because the one thing, Jared, I've noticed, they play way too much one-on-one basketball, way too much standing around, and they just have to get some sort of offensive flow.
Well, is that and now we're going to go back to Coach Drew. Is this the guy that's going to be able to put that offense together?
Well, early indications are no.
Yeah.
He's going to have a chance to prove himself, but as of right now, no. And again, it's hard in the middle of a season to do this. And again, the Cavs' whole thing was we're just going to outrun people, and that didn't work. And so now they don't really have an off. And again, that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be a season and a half.
Hey, let me throw this up here too. You're talking about a season and a half. I finally took a moment to sit down and kind of take a look at someone that I hear a lot about, but I don't watch a lot of college basketball. Holy cow. Zion Williamson is a freak of nature.
You?
He's a big, strong, athletic dude.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, again, on Friday, there's no Browns. We're going to get into Zion Williams.
Well, as a Cavs fan, salivating over a lottery pick, I'm just saying, pay attention to this young man.
Yep.
Even if you don't like college basketball, even if you hate the one and done or whatever it is that's aggravating you about college basketball, wow. I thought without looking that Coach Kerr was a little biting off a little more than he can chew, and he still probably is, maybe. We're only 2 games into the season, but this guy is a physical beast and can play.
Yeah, because I was going to create a show called No Browns Friday, and Zion Williams is going to be a section.
Yeah, we can totally do that. I don't care. That's fine by me. There, I am now invested in college basketball purely because of how terrible the Cavs are.
Yeah, so we'll get into that more. I was going to say I'm going to save that for Friday, but yeah,
I even watched the Buckeyes play IPFW a little bit too. Or is it IPFW? I used to play out at Indiana Tech.
Holtzman's a good coach. Holtzman coach over there. Buckeyes are good. So that's the Cavs state of affairs. You can break things down more if you want, but those are the big things that I see right now. Exactly. The Cavs are doing a better job in the glass. They did a nice job, but again, Bulls aren't very good. I don't know how much the Thunder tried. So, that's my overall message here. Even in these games, I don't know how much of grain salt. Again, I think you're talking 8 wins in the year. But again, for a team that didn't win last week, I thought the Cavs had a good week. That's a bad phrase, but that's sadly how I feel. I thought they had a good.
It's going to be this way, Andy. I mean, we're gonna spend a good year, might be multiple years, having these conversations.
Again, I think it's going to take a season and a half. That's how bad this is. I think it's going to take a season and a half to get this offense running. I don't know. I think it's going to take a while.
I'll be waiting.
We will be. Around the NBA, Carmelo looks like he's gone out of Houston.
Boy, that went bad quick.
Boy, Rockets are a mess. You don't talk about a mess. That's a mess. Carmelo Anthony, maybe we should shave this for the Friday show too. Carmelo Anthony's had a weird career. He really has. We'll say that more for Friday, I think. I'll make a note. Jimmy Butler goes to the 76ers. I actually thought, for everybody who thinks unfair or fair, I actually thought both sides. I kind of agree with Barkley. I thought everybody kind of made out here with a good trade. I think it's a risky trade for the Sixers as they trade away their depth. You get Jimmy Butler. If Jimmy Butler's healthy, it helps the Sixers. That's the key question here. And then the Timberwolves got some parts back that they need. I did like this trade from both sides. And I think, the one conclusion I'm going to get, and again, more for Friday, I do think the East has really improved this year. And probably part of this because LeBron's gone. But, Jared, I think, the East is much better than what I thought it was going to be going into the year. The West is still the best. But do you really think there's a huge difference right now between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Blazers? Because those are both the two seeds,
right? And that's the thing is when we're talking about the West, we're really talking about one team at this point, right?
That's my point. Well, see, you're getting to what I'm saying. This will be another great Friday thing, but just to elude people what we're going to get into, I think the NBA, we're finally seeing a tilt back to the East. But the best team is Golden State by far. That's my early opinion so far.
Didn't Antetokounmpo have a good game against them the other day too? Didn't they beat the Warriors?
And by 20 in Oakland.
Yeah.
And the Raptors got, and again,
I love that young man too. Antetokounmpo's a
easy guy to cheer for.
Ooh, he's a guy that you didn't really. I mean, talk about raw the talent in the rough, and he just got done nothing but improve year in and year out.
Just to give some perspective to people, the Celtics right now, who I still think are very good, they're the 6th seed. They're 7-6. Again, it's early. But it's interesting. The East is loaded, and I look at the West. Thunder, they didn't really wow me. The Lakers, the West is kind of so all over the place. The Lakers are the 8th seed. So it's way too early to tell and look all the stuff. But the one thing that is sadly evident, unless something drastically changes, the Cavs are really locking in on the number 1 lottery ball position.
I can't believe that we were talking about hope for an 8 seed before the season started.
Wow. That we got our championship, thank God. Because I'll tell you what, the other team, again, more for Friday, but, teams that I'd be really ticked off for our fan, Washington Wizards, you're 4-9. New York Knicks, you're 4-10. I mean, these are gotta start winning some games.
The Knicks have turned, being a disappointment into like a fine art, haven't they? This is what they are at this point, right? I don't see that changing.
No,
the Wizards. That's a big letdown. I don't know how. I never heard much about Wizards fans around here as it is, but it's always
the Capitals. Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say the Capitals kind of steal that away, but those are things to watch and keep your eye on. But again, that's just an early look. Everybody should look at the standings if you got a chance. It's 15% in, and again, the things that really stand out to me: Raptors with a hot start, Sixers and Celtics not as good as you want to. The Bucks have really risen. Pacers are right where you thought they are. They're 8-6. And in the West, outside of really Golden State, there's a lot of muck. Not really seeing a team that kind of competes with them. And the Rockets are 5-7. Again, it's early, but 5-7, 15% in. That's it's a little eye. It's not a huge eye open, but it's a little eye open, especially with Carmelo Anthony being gone.
Cleveland Indians.
I looked everywhere, Jared, for any kind of Indians rumors to wrap up the show. I didn't see anything on the Indians. It's kind of more the same water cooler talk. It's funny. Baseball usually dominates this time of year. In the past, they've kind of given up this weird mantle. The things that you keep hearing that are interesting is this whole Chris Bryant thing with the Cubs. Sounds like there might be a trade happening there. Sounds like Bryant and Theo Epstein and the staff are kind of at odds there. And if that were to happen, that's a strange event. Because boy, the Cubs fans love Bryant. That'd be such a strange thing if that were to happen. But it's being rumored a lot, so you gotta kind of wonder how much is truth there.
There's going to be. We've talked about this too, though. The rumors are going to start flying.
Bryce Harper too.
I want to see when they start to stick. I wonder when that's going to start happening. When some of the moves.
Soon. I think soon. I think the big thing that I'm noticing that is going to play a huge part outside the Yankees signing there are a couple players. They signed Sabathia back. For those who didn't see, Sabathia will be back with the Yankees again.
Right, which is to anyone who cheers against the Yankees, I think a lot of people are saying, okay, good, whatever. I don't know what you expect out of CC.
Well. Yeah, they're paying them well too, $8 million a year. It's a lot of money for a fourth or fifth starter. But anyways, that's not my money. So
no, the one thing that makes me nervous though is that none of the rumors surrounding the Indians have really had much to say or to do in regard to some of the guys that they might be willing to give up. And that quietness, I don't know how I feel about the quietness.
I think the Indians did that on purpose to get a feel for the market. The only thing that I keep reading that people keep wanting to bring up, it has no steam. I don't know how the Indians trade Edwin, and I don't know what they get back for him, even if they could. I don't see Edwin going anywhere. I think it's a contract that a lot of teams won't want to touch.
Yeah, what is that contract? I don't.
$20 million, I think, next year. I'll look it up real quick. I think it's $20 million next year.
Boy, that's a lot of money tied up with him. Nobody wants that because what are they going to get out of it anyways? I don't.
And by the way, I don't think the Indians can give him up on him.
No, and they don't have to. There's no reason to. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a. I don't think that you've. I don't. Do you remain open to a move? Maybe, but I don't. Yeah, you're right. Where's that going? What team out there? What team out there do you think would go? We're a bat away or whatever. And would pick. I don't know who it would be.
I don't know. $20 million this year. I just don't think the Indians. I think it's a double-edged sword. You're going to lose Brantley. That's another thing too. I mean, the Indians. Geyer's gone. Zayd announced his release 2 or 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, anyways, that's a good Friday show too. The Indians outfield, we talked about a month ago.
I mean, we talked about how nice it was to lock in Leonis, and hopefully he stays healthy. I mean, that's I know, but that's exactly that's a coin flip too.
I know. Boy, it gives me a headache thinking about that outfield. Ugh. I love the Indians, but boy, that outfield. I think it's going to be a big topic. Well, I'll look up some more research and see what we can find out. But I haven't seen anything about the Indians off season. And again, Edwin this year makes 21-6 with his signing bonus. I just don't see him going anywhere. And frankly, I don't think the Indians can trade him. No. I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's a bunch of huff and puff. I don't think the Indians can trade him. I really don't. The Indians need Edwin Encarnacion. Sorry. They made an investment. They need him to play. And I think Edwin needs to play for him. I think it's a two-edged thing. I don't know. Andy, I don't even know what I would want.
That's my point. I mean, you're not going to get a lot for Edwin for that contract. I mean, you're really not. Anyways, that's for Friday. I'll look up some more rumors. Hopefully, we'll see if we get it. I don't think it's going to get more clear. I think what I've learned is Thanksgiving week, which is next week, you started getting more things. But now my thoughts are getting interrupted. I think Bryce Harper's signing is going to dictate the market a lot this year. I think his signing is going to dictate everything. And it's holding up Manny Machado, too. So I get the feeling Machado's ready to start doing some things, and he can't.
You don't think Harper's in, pardon the pun, in a league of his own right now when it comes to this contract?
He is. That's why you have to wait for him.
Yeah.
And again, I think you're going to have to wait for him.
And then the chips will fall.
Yeah, I don't think he's going. I'm surprised. I don't think he's going back to Nationals.
Do the Indians make a big move? Or do they wait to see?
I think we talked about in the offseason. The only thing that makes me want to say yes is that outfield without Brantley, and I'm assuming Brantley's not coming back. So I don't think he is. That outfield's really light. You're relying a lot on Bradley Zimmer next year to play well.
Well, and you're freeing up another. I mean, if we're going money for money here, I mean, do we look at it like there's another possible $17 million guy out there?
I would hope so. You gotta wonder, see, the Indians can't make any of these kind of signings. I'll look and we'll play matchmaker for the Indians on Friday. Because I've looked at some things. I haven't seen anything that comes to mind, but I'm telling you, and again, I like some of these guys as your third outfielder, but Tyler Naquin, he might be your 2 or 1 right now. Think about that. Greg Allen.
I feel like the clock is ticking with this team too.
No, we all do. I mean, I just think, again, that outfield, Bradley Zimmer, he can't be injured next year again. That's going to be a big thing for the Indians, boy.
And can Tyler Naquin not swing at balls at his neck and chill the hell out in the batter's box?
He played well, though, when he was healthy last year. But he just couldn't. He got injured again. And again, Lonnie Chisnall's not coming back either. He's a free agent, too. I doubt the Indians re-sign him. He's been unhealthy, too. I don't think he can have another – yeah, I'm telling you, the Indians, we have, it stresses me out. That outfield situation, everything else, I think you can shift and make changes, boy, that outfield. I don't know. You really don't have a starting outfielder right now.
Andy, I didn't know that talking about the Indians tonight was going to, depress me.
I know. And they're going to win the division. That's what's even more surprising. They're going to win the division. I love the Tribe. I'll be there every game this year, but boy, that outfield.
Oh, I cannot wait. I can't wait to be in the district hanging out.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Corner bar hanging out. I'll be there.
I will be there too. Last thought of the night, Bobby Petrino gets axed from Louisville. This place is tough on my heart. I'm a Purdue fan. I think Brom's going to get seriously looked at Louisville. He played for Louisville as a Louisville kid, so I think he's going to get really looked at by them. But the Bobby Petrino experience, we talk about coaches who've had strange, from the neck brace at Arkansas to him leaving Louisville in a lurch to all these things that have been going on this year, which really Petrino had nothing to do with. Boy, the Bobby Petrino, he is one of the Jarid one of the strangest head coaches I've ever seen, because he can coach, but he has had scandal after weirdness all the time. Hard to put your finger in, and just to see how far Louisville's fallen off this year. It's just a dark turn for him in that program this year. It's amazing, and that Louisville's really fallen off the map quickly. It's amazing what a bad scandal will do. I mean,
well, and there you go.
And your biggest donor is Papa John's Pizza, and they're not happy.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
They're not going to either. Oh, by the way, you signed a contract with them. It says Papa John Stadium, probably forever. So.
Oh man, I'm holding back on a joke. So
there's so many jokes. So
is that where There might be a certain political party's convention held there next 2 years.
Sure.
I'm kidding. Anybody who's listen, I'm just making jokes. You can't be mad if it's funny.
No, I'll tell you that Louisville situation is a mess. What a mess! But again, Petrino, and he what happened in Arkansas was terrible. What happened to him, how he left Louisville was not proper. And boy, he lead again. Just what, I mentioned it. 9 times out of 10 coaches, it doesn't end well. That is another example. It did not end well. It's just amazing how far you can fall from grace. Because at this time last year, they're in the bowl hunt. They're doing things. Jared 2-8, not even competitive. Getting hung 77 by Clemson. Ugh. Can you imagine 77? 70. If the Buckeyes lost by 77 points, what would Notre Dame lost? Notre Dame.
You want to know the last time I saw a college football team score 70 points? I was on the field at Youngstown State University when oh boy, Jim Tressel was coach, and my cousin Mark Brungard was quarterback, and we ended up winning a national championship that year, and it was against Steve McNair came in. That it was the big arm. In that D2 at that time, and they were expected. The ESPN aired that game, and they were expected to walk all over. It was Alcorn State, and man, the Youngstown State Penguins just absolutely demolished them, like 77-10 or something like that. It was insane. That's the last time I've seen that many points scored in a game.
I'm trying to remember. There's a game where it was Tyrone Willingham's last game. I want to make sure I got this right. And they lost to SC. I want to make sure I got this right. It was so embarrassing one year. I guess it was 2002. They lost 44-13. There's another game one time, though. Anyways, my point being is like –
I know, I'm looking this up now.
It's amazing how far things can fall. But, wrapping up on a positive, good for the Browns, good for everybody here. We needed wins like that. And again, wins are important for this program, for this group. They need to keep winning. Keep winning. It's a good thing. Don't worry about high draft picks. Keep winning these games. Every win's important. It's really important to start winning the winning culture there in Cleveland. Proud of these guys. And again, Baker Mayfield, just stars are aligning sharp. Unbelievable game. Kudos to him. And, in the college football ranks, we're 1 week away if everything plays out the way we think it is between Michigan and Ohio State. And then this week you get the big game from the Irish, in my opinion. Yeah, I know they play USC after that. But a huge game against Yankee Stadium against Syracuse, and we'll preview that on Friday. I'm going
to watch that game. Definitely.
Have to. And by the way, 2:30 start. 2:30 start, so it's not going to be a late kickoff. So that's kind of where everything's at. Again, kudos to everyone in Berea. What a great win, and what a great way to go into bye. What a great way to go into bye week.
I couldn't be happier. I wasn't on the edge of my seat the entire game.
No.
I felt proud to be a Browns fan. Oh, man. What a strange feeling.
No, there's a lot of hope, and we're seeing the hope now. And, for everybody goes, everything in this Greg Williams talk, well, I'll define it as if you can win one of those 2 games on the road against Cincy and Houston, I think you're still in the running. If you win both, wow. That's a mighty task, I think. But wow. I think that's what's ahead of them. It's exciting. It's exciting to be talking about little things like that. It doesn't mean you're going to make the playoffs, but it's exciting. It's good.
Yeah, it's almost like the bye week is a good thing and a bad thing. It slows the momentum of a team that seems to be a train rolling down a track, but at the same time, there's bumps and bruises that need that week and have needed it for a few weeks.
I was gonna say, I actually think the bye week's good for the Browns. They need it.
No, this is more of a fan. I think the bye week is more of a bummer for fans. I think at this point.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, but
usually it's like a week of relief.
A relief. Yeah, and by the way, we were alluding to that before the game. I mean, that bye week never came sooner. But for that team, they need the bye week, and especially to reset yourselves going into Houston and to Cincinnati, 2 road games to teams who are playing for playoffs. I mean, even no matter what happens this week, both those teams are going to be playing for the playoffs. So that's great. It's good competition. It's good to see, even if the Browns don't make it, which I don't think they will. It's good to see them playing those kind of games now. let's get a vibe to see where this is going.
Yeah, take the challenge, accept the challenge, and rise to the occasion if you can. And man, I don't want to talk about next season, but it's just a great. God, it's going to be nice to finish strong is all I want them to do. Finish looking strong and ready for the momentum of what next year will offer too. I mean, that's just.
Yep. We'll see how these 6 games go. But again, a great way to start the bye week. Just could not be better. And one of the best, I guess in my final thought, that was, even for all the Kosar, and God, I love Kosar. I'm the biggest Kosar homer you'll meet.
Oh, you and I both, brother.
But that.
The pride of Boardman, Ohio.
Yeah. I really, really thought Baker Mayfield had one of the best starts I've ever seen. Kelly Holcomb had that game against the Steelers on the road in a playoff game, but boy, Mayfield.
Tim Couch in that Sunday night game in Pittsburgh, that comeback game. That was a great game too.
Great game. The Derek Anderson game. He had a couple that year when they made a playoff. But again, that game Baker had, that will hold a dear and near place in my heart. And then to have the double down of Nick Chubb. Great times, fun times, and we deserve them. It's good for us.
We all deserve them, and hopefully fans recognize that, and just take this for what it is. Enjoy the wins. You know what, Andy? When I hear things about, and I heard someone say it today on one of the Cleveland stations. Someone had talked about, I'm tired of us treating these wins like it's a Super Bowl win, and it's like, you know what? Why not? It feels great, and we don't get them all that often. When it starts to become a regular thing, then we'll stop doing that. But as of now, it's not a regularity. It's not something that we've seen a lot of in all this time that they've been back. So if you want to act like it's a Super Bowl win and you feel fired up, good for you. Good for you for having an enjoyable Monday after a frickin' Browns game. Right?
I'm not going to add anything else. Yes, it's, you know what? Have some sour cream for your baked potato. People who think that. Come on. I mean,
thank you.
Jeez Louise, come on. Let's just. All right, I'm not going to debate this anymore. Great week for the Browns. Exciting Notre Dame Syracuse game for all the wrong reasons if you're an Irish fan. I think the build-up for Ohio State, Michigan. No Browns Friday. We'll do all the sports. Yep. Maybe we'll get some more Indian stuff in between there. Break down the NBA a little bit more than just the Cavs. And again, I think, all those being said, just such a great week. Great win for the Browns, and what a exciting, and exciting times ahead. That's all of it. Exciting times ahead for the team.
He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. This is Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll talk to you again in a couple of days and preview some other things because Browns are getting a rest. Take care, everybody.